All right, you guys. So Hollywood has continued on with the healthy tradition of choosing a new young actress to hate. And there's a young actress getting so much hate right now in her brand new movie that I feel invested in and want it to do so good is coming out this week, The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbird and Snakes, coming out in 4 days. Couldn't be more excited. Read the whole book in 2020 during lockdown. I was completely immersed in it. Maybe my second favorite Hunger Games book, competing for my first. Such an incredibly written prequel. It's all about President Snow and how he kind of started as a innocent, pure child, but was then turned into this dictator. And you're like, it's a story about how one human can grapple with empathy. Do I feel bad for the people in the districts? Do I not? Do I know that we're doing this to them for a reason? Or is that reason not good enough? Like, President Snow has so many nuanced sides to him in this, and it's very good. So it's going to make you like the Snow White a bit. But there's one Snow White that people do not like, and it is Rachel Zegler. So she is the lead in The Hunger Games prequel, but she's also the lead in the new Snow White movie that's coming out in 2025 now, which is delayed majorly from the actors' strike. And wasn't that transition so good? Oh my God, from saying it will make you like the Snow White. Like, I came up with it in my head on the fly. I didn't write that down. I'm so smart. Anyway, so people don't like Rachel Zegler. She's a 22-year-old actress. She's been in West Side Story and Shazam. That's where you might know her from. She's younger than me. That's so crazy. But she definitely has that like young, like vibrant, like spunky, like fresh on the scene, enthusiastic actress vibe. But there's a lot about her that people don't like. So we're going to go through like 4 or 5 reasons why people don't like her. So the first reason that you've probably seen about this was such a major discussion on like the national scale, just one comment she made about Snow White. So as the lead in the live action of Snow White, you know, Disney's doing live actions with everything right now, even though apparently they're losing the money. I don't know. I think live actions are so cool. I'm obsessed with them. Like, why wouldn't you want to see The Little Mermaid in live action? Like, the fuck? And why wouldn't you want to see The Lion King in live action? That's so cool. Like, seeing real lions fight, I feel like everyone would be so into that. So I feel like people should stop shitting on the live actions. I think they're cool. And also, you guys are like, so, not you guys, but everyone is so like desperate for nostalgia. It's like, pick a side, pick a side. Do you want to relive your faves or not? Anyway, so she said she basically hates the Snow White original, like completely. She said she's terrified of Snow White. She hasn't watched it since she was a kid, and it's extremely out of date. And then she did an interview where she said, like, it's for the best that they're rewriting it and making a whole new Snow White that is a much better version where basically she's going to be a girl boss. So she said the original movie came out in 1937, and evidently so. She's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's going to be dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told us she could be if she was fearless, brave, and true. So Snow White is a girl boss. I feel like the original Snow White is like such an antithesis of girl boss. This definitely got under a lot of people's skin, especially because we as like a society are starting to move past the whole girl boss conversation. But let me just play this really quick so you just know her delivery, because the delivery is probably the number one most important thing here.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. And so it's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves.
She said to see themselves in. So I think the messaging of that is good. But she continues on and she said, there's a big focus on her love story of a guy who stalks her. Weird. So we didn't do that this time. Basically, she shit on Snow White in like every single aspect of the movie. And of course, when you're doing a live action, you want to guarantee a money-making success by bringing all the fans of the original to the theaters to watch their favorite story come to life with humans. And now that she said that, she's kind of turned all the Snow White fans against the live action. And it really did infuriate people because Snow White kind of was the first movie that launched Disney's empire. So she dares to be this young actress getting this first role and then completely shits on it. There's a petition for her to be kicked off of the movie because it wasn't filmed yet, called Not My Princess petition. Tweets about her say things like she's a walking PR nightmare. She needs to be humbled. She's so entitled. Um, I feel like if you've ever seen the clip of Tana Mojo being like, she's so fucking annoying, she's never been punched in her face in her whole fucking life and she won't shut the fuck up. That's what people think about her. And she just says all these things about Snow White and misogyny with a very like smug head tilted to the side. More like she's just on her moral high ground on her soapbox, and like she's talking down to older generations or fans of the movie. So people were very pissed off with her. She also said that she didn't, well, she was also saying that she kind of like wrote the movie, but she didn't do that. The person who actually wrote the new girl boss version of Snow White is Greta Gerwig, the same woman who wrote Barbie. That's maybe the most like girl boss, but also anti-girl boss film of all time, because like Barbie doesn't want Ken, but there's also that whole monologue in Barbie that you don't have to be great or extraordinary or perfect. You can just be an ordinary woman, and there should be an ordinary Barbie for a woman who just wants to wake up to the day, put on a cute blouse and not feel bad about herself. And I feel like people kind of like saw themselves in Snow White because they liked that traditional life of like, I want the prince to come save me because so many aspects of my life suck. It'd be great to just have like one man like come and save me once. We would love that. And I do agree with people when they say that. And I totally get why they're frustrated with this new young actress being like, fuck Snow White. This whole story is stupid. She's like appalled by it. She really hates it. So I totally get it. And I think this movie would have done well 3 years ago when the whole girl boss movement was still, I think, more necessary and not nailed into people's heads enough. Like we hadn't set that precedent in the entertainment industry that movies like that can sell. But now that we've had so many movies like that and we've had so many adaptations where or like remakes where scripts were changed to put the female character on a more empowering high ground, I don't think like I feel like the overcompensation has been done for women not being girl bosses or being like the traditional like softer, more passive woman in the past. Like we've overcompensated for that. So I feel like the girl boss narrative can definitely fade a little. Like there can be sides to like I don't know. I just feel like both things can exist now. Like not it doesn't have to be so everyone needs to be a girl boss. There can definitely be films of that traditional love story brought back into the mainstream. So I totally get everyone's frustration, but at the same time, Rachel didn't write the movie. She was told what to say in the marketing team while she was being interviewed. She definitely has talking points that she needs to mention. And I will say, like, when other male actors kind of shit on characters or shit on their own movies, like Robert Pattinson hated Twilight and Harrison Ford didn't like Star Wars, no one really cared and they just thought it was like funny and charming. But when Rachel doesn't like Snow White, it's like, we hate her. She's the worst ever. So that's definitely one reason why people don't like her. Another reason is comments she made about the strike. So she's playing Snow White, but she couldn't film it. So she said, if I'm going to stand there for 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour it's streamed online. Now let me play it for you because, again, her delivery is like the most important thing here.
I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
So I'll play that on the screen too, so you can like see her face. But people just see a common thread of like entitledness, self-serving, like narcissistic within her. That's what people are saying because all of these ways she's like it always seems like she has a problem with the camera. She's like scolding the camera like Snow White is gonna be a girl boss, like the old version was so bad, or I will be paid 18 hours for standing in this dress. I feel like people just do not like her delivery or her attitude at all. And they don't like how she only mentioned how she needs to be paid for standing in a Snow White dress. Like that's hard at all. Like that was a weird thing for her to say. Admittedly, she should have been like, everyone on the crew needs to be paid. Actors who are in the background or on smaller indie films, like who work paycheck to paycheck, they need to be paid. She was really only talking about herself, but the sentence was almost like she wanted to get hate for that. Like, if I'm going to stand in a Disney princess dress all day, most people would like to do that. So it's weird that that was her big like fight for the strike. And I can definitely understand why it would come off a bit aloof or self-important. But again, I feel like she was standing up for a cause that people want. And she was maybe using the clout of being Snow White to get that clip to go viral so the strike would end faster or more people could get on the strike's side and demand change for the actors. Like, she was like, I'm Snow White, I'm going to be in this big movie and I can't film it, and I'm pissed off about that. So I get what she's saying. I think she has good intent, but her delivery is really, really bad. Another reason people don't like her is because she was in like a Marvel or a DC. I don't know what Shazam is, if it's Marvel or DC, I don't know. But whichever one it was, she was asked on the red carpet why she was put in, like, why did she want to be in Shazam so bad? Like in job interviews, when they're like, why do you want this job? And you're like, because I love it and I'm so passionate about it. It's what I do all the time. Like, you don't actually mean that though. So her response was that she was like, I needed a job. But she said it like with that same, I'm scolding the camera kind of smug vibe. She was like, because I needed a job. So people just really don't like her attitude with most things. Like, and again, it comes back to the entitlement. You needed a job, so you get to be in a DC movie. People just really get turned off by her off-putting personality. Let's just say that. So number 4 is she was in West Side Story with Ansel Elgort, and around that time, a lot of horrible accusations of like physical abuse to his partner were coming out about Ansel Elgort, and she kind of like stood by him or didn't speak up against him even after the movie was out or say anything on the behalf of that. So people were like feeling like she's this fake feminist if she's going to be all about the girl boss movement, but not stand up against Ansel Elgort, because if you don't know, the things he's done are really terrible. I definitely have a TikTok about it if you want to search like why everyone hates Ansel Elgort, petty pop culture on TikTok. What he did was super bad. So yeah, Rachel came forward and she kind of gave a response to everyone feeling scolded by her and hating her personality, basically. And she said, I never wanted to come off as ungrateful for the opportunities I have. I'm the most grateful person alive, but I'm also keeping it real. I actually love that response. I really do. I never want to come off as ungrateful for the opportunities I have. I'm the most grateful person alive, but I'm also keeping it real. And she was crying in that video as well. I don't have it with me, but I can like add it onto here. I can like pause the screen and add it. But yeah, I feel like she may come off a bit smug and entitled, but a lot of people take her clips out of context. They just play the bad part, but there's also a lot of other clips like, I'm so grateful to be in Shazam. Of course, I was auditioning for this role because I needed a job, but I also auditioned for 50 roles, and I was so lucky and grateful to be able to get this one. And she's so grateful to be Disney and, you know, the Disney like lead girl and be in Snow White. But no one really saw her saying that part. She's very active in the whole strike movement, but just that little clip of her seeming to only care about herself as Snow White. Like, I feel like everything she says is right, but she can just change the way she says it. And I'm not against Rachel Zegler. I'm excited to see all her movies, especially The Hunger Games. I think she just, like, I'm not saying she needs to be softer or a more likable woman. I just think she can add a little bit more empathy, because like just more empathy in the little statements she says, because we live in the 10-second clip age. 10-second clips of you are what goes viral. So if she's on a red carpet being interviewed, she just needs to make sure to be a little bit more empathetic. And what I noticed about her when I was watching interviews for the Hunger Games, she just seems like she knows she's this young, fresh-faced actress, but she wants to be taken super seriously. So she likes to say like very bold, almost like powerful like statements, or almost like prove herself in a way. So I feel like Rachel Zegler is just a young person who's really trying to prove herself and like be accepted by her peers and the whole acting world, but it's turning off the public. So I think she needs to be less worried about proving herself and just more worried about being real and letting the acting prove herself. And I think it will once all these movies come out, because again, None of them are even out. So get ready for the Hunger Games and watch Snow White if you want to when it comes out in a year or two. I can't tell you what to do. Hunger Games is out November 14th. You just watched a clip from my podcast and from my YouTube channel. If you want to see more amazing pop culture content or the full-length podcast on the day it drops, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Petty Pop Culture. Leave a like, leave a comment, helps the algorithm so much. And I appreciate and adore all my students, so make sure to enroll here at Pop Culture University.